axe throwing competition. Hello, everybody. Happy hump day. Nika here with your daily neuro nugget. And today we are going to be we're going to go back in time to the night of November 12th, 2022. And I know that JLR, shout out to JLR guys, had made a very brief video on this topic, and I wanted to remind everybody because again his video didn't get as many views as it should have. So I'm going to expand on that video regarding the axe throwing competition that allegedly took place on November 12th, 2022. Okay, here we have a case where the coroner has contradicted herself time and time again. We have seen her body language go from comfortable to crossing her arms to not wanting to describe the scene. You know, she mentioned that the bodies had massive wounds, right? And that, in my opinion, does not sound like something that could be done by a K-bar. Yes, of course, a K-bar can cause a lot of damage, but I have always felt this thing that tells me that other weapons were likely used. And again, as we go through this video, guys, remember, these are my opinions, these are my speculations, and feel free to share with me, feel free to interact with me while we are in the chat. It's okay to disagree. Again, remember to be disrespectful, because I'm not going to tolerate you hating on me, hating on my looks because you disagree with me, right? We're not gonna allow incels and trolls to run the comment section. So, guys, this video that he made, JLR made, before anybody was even arrested, I think it was, yeah, way before anyone was even arrested. But it is so important to pay attention to everything that was taking place in Moscow that evening. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, there are several of these axe throwing competition places that are popping up in the Chicago area as well, right? They're very popular with a lot of, I guess, a younger crowd. And oftentimes there's alcohol involved. So I went ahead and looked up the venue, and it's called Moscow Axe Throwing. And they seem to have, I don't know if they deleted some posts or what, but it looks like there was something going on November 12th, November 13th, if you look at their Facebook. But I do think that they had more posts. Now, in my mind, I am wondering, were Maddie and Kaylee present? Did they maybe go there prior to going to the bar? And I'm going to be honest, right? I myself have been to these axe throwing places. It can be fun. You know, there's like a target. They kind of teach you the very basics of throwing the axe. You try to get on the target. But this place in Moscow is a little bit out there, because not only are they just throwing axes, they're also throwing knives. And as I'm scrolling through these pictures, which of course I'm going to pin in the thumbnail, guys, I see something that looks a heck of a lot like a freaking K-bar. Okay, so again, we can't just pretend that there wasn't a massive axe throwing competition that night. And what I'm seeing in these pictures are images of a lot of hoodies, like a lot of sweaters from students that were outsiders. There's like a picture of a sweater, somebody that says University of Montana. This is on the Moscow Axe Throwing page, of course. So that lets me know that this competition that was taking place that night of the crime, guys, it was a pretty huge competition. And Enan Harsh mentioned something, that there were a lot of out-of-towners that night, that there were a lot of license plates from outside the state. And previously I had speculated, look, maybe it was the other federal agents that were working on the Aryan Brotherhood gang pharmaceutical trafficking, because we know soon after the IDAHO4, they arrested a lot of the Aryans, right? But now it makes me wonder, is it possible that maybe a lot of these people with the out-of-town plates were students from outside of the state attending this axe throwing slash knife throwing competition. And these can be very large, right? When people get into these competitions, they're all about them. It's like if you know people who play billiards, or if you know people who play pool or whatever, they're like obsessed with axe throwing. These are huge, and sometimes people travel through the country to attend these competitions. And the fact that these images are shared on the Moscow axe throwing Facebook page, the fact that there were several outsiders, well, it could potentially change where this case is going. That would make sense, right? If maybe there was an outsider involved. Now, my problem, guys, with these axe throwing places, when I attended, I'm gonna be honest, I was not comfortable. And let me tell you why. Because these axe throwing slash knife throwing places, they serve alcohol. They serve alcohol. And I don't know about you, right? But again, this is not my, actually, this is not an opinion. We know for a fact, it's a scientific fact, that when you have alcohol in your system, your reflexes are going to be slowed down. And I know I'm going to have somebody say, but I'm a better drunk driver, but I'm a better whatever when I'm drunk. No, babe, you are not, okay? Literally every scientific study shows that when you have alcohol in your system, your reflexes are most definitely slowed down, if not skewed. If not, you're probably blacked out like Dylan was, right? On her mimosas. And when you're mixing alcohol and axes and knives and you're freaking flinging them through the air, look, it's not the best combination. It's not the best combination. In fact, when we have alcohol, just in general, people are more likely to get rowdy, to start fights with people, to do something stupid, right? Not everybody, but a lot of people. So, is it possible that maybe, just maybe, Maddie and Kaylee were at Moscow axe throwing the night of that competition? And we know they are fairly conventionally attractive females, right? So it's possible that somebody was hitting on these girls. And if these girls turned somebody down, maybe somebody who already had alcohol in their system, and now you're embarrassing this person, whether this person, we are theorizing, right? Could have been maybe Jack D, or could have been the other Jack S, or it could have been one of the frat boys, or maybe it was a cop, right? Because let's be real, a lot of the cops in Moscow also seem to have very close relationships with a lot of the college students. I personally find that very strange. It's one thing to try to get close to community members so that they feel safe around you, but it's another thing when you're like maybe binge drinking with college students, right? Maybe you disagree, let me know. If you disagree with me, if you think that cops should be allowed to binge drink with college students, with college girls at that, if it's, you know, if they're outside of duty, leave a 1. If you think that they should not be allowed, leave a 2. And this is just my experience, guys, but when I was in the military, and if I was a little bit higher ranking than somebody else, even outside of work, it was not allowed for us to mingle with the younger or the lower ranking people, right? Because there's kind of an issue there, right? Thank you guys so much for the super chats. You guys are very generous. I really appreciate the $5. Say it louder for the people in the back, please. And it's not a good combination. And the fact that this crime was allegedly committed with a knife, and we have an axe / knife throwing competition on the night of the crime. I know that you guys have all seen the images of all these frat boys, all these students wearing the balaclavas, holding the knives. right? But let's not focus on that. Let's just go through the Koberger family's Amazon account and track back that Mr. Koberger had purchased, allegedly, one of the Koberger members had allegedly purchased a K-bar knife before he even moved to Pullman. Let's do that. But let's ignore every image that is out there on the internet with frat boys, frat girls wearing balaclavas, holding knives, and the fact that there was a freaking axe and knife throwing competition on the night of the crime. Is that another magical coincidence that we have here? And getting drunk and handling axes at the same time, getting drunk and handling knives, what could possibly go wrong? And again, this is my theory, this is my speculation, but if Maddie, I could see it from here, right? Two conventionally attractive women going into this Moscow axe throwing place. There's a lot of frat boys, maybe frat girls, sorority girls, maybe some outsiders. We see that there was people from Montana University, very likely people from other universities as well. And somebody hits on you. Was it a cop? Was it an outside boy from another university? Was it a frat boy? Maybe even a sorority girl that was hitting on these girls. Turning people down as an attractive female is risky business. You have to be very careful, because if you can't soothe the blow, for some men out there, they lose their mind, right? They lose their mind. If you tell them no in front of everybody else, guess what? Now they're going to go full rage, full beast mode. Not everybody, but it does happen a lot, right? And because these women are relatively young, maybe they don't know how to handle those situations in public. Doesn't mean that they deserved what they got. Again, this is just a theory. I'm not saying Jack D is guilty. I'm not saying Jack S is guilty. I'm not saying frat boys are guilty. I'm not saying a drunk cop that was maybe at Moscow axe throwing that night of the competition is guilty. I'm not saying anybody is guilty. But I do often come back to Jack D, because statistically speaking, guys, when we are looking at crimes of young women who have been deleted off of the planet, it usually involves an ex or their lover or their husband or whatever, right? And that doesn't necessarily explain the three other people, but in reality, guys, when you are dealing with an ex or a partner of somebody, because this was a crime of passion, allegedly, then it's not so far-fetched to maybe think that somebody like Jack D, a scorned lover potentially, or an embarrassed cop that was turned down by two college girls. How dare you guys turn me down in front of everybody? I have a badge. And that has happened to me before, okay? It was very creepy. I've talked about it in the past. If I can find the video, I'll pin it. Not a good experience. Be careful how you turn down people with badges. They are dangerous. They tend to be stalker-ish because they can look you up, right? There's also, though, that we have seen around the fraternities, right? And we've been told so many things when we look back at some of the 4chan posts that were shared in the very early days. It's not that far-fetched to also maybe place some suspicions on the Greeks, right? In the area. Why were there so many images of, fraternity men with balaclavas, with ski masks, and holding knives? And one of you guys let me know that this is like a massive thing. I was not aware that there is an entire league, right? There's the World Knife Throwing League out there. I was not aware. So again, this is really, really big. And people often come from all over the country. So we also now have the possibility of maybe an outsider. Could it have been an outsider, somebody out of state? It's also very common for people to commit horrible crimes to be on the move, right? But again, if we are going to be talking about alibis, so many people hate on Mr. Koberger's alibi. Like, he was driving around. That is not good enough. That is not a good enough alibi. But what was Jack D's alibi? What was his alibi? I was sleeping. I was sleeping. How is that a good alibi? Because technically speaking, Jack could have technically made calls to his own phone from the girls' phones to create his own alibi, right? In my opinion, out of all the alibis in this case, if anyone has a weak alibi, it is Jack Decor. I was sleeping should not be good enough. And we have heard some of the family members say that a lot of people were cleared way too quickly, which also means that the entire police department, in my opinion, they all need to be investigated. There definitely needs to be a very deep dive into the entire police department. And looking at the pictures that are here on the Moscow axe throwing page definitely brought back some memories of my youth, right? When I was a young girl a long time ago, back in my college days. What is often involved in most college parties? Let's be honest. Even if you do not partake, even if you are there present, what is often involved? A lot of risky activity, right? We are talking about alcohol. Some of these people may or may not have been underage. And then you're combining knives, you're combining axes, and which is interesting to me, axes, because a lot of people in the early days, some of you guys reached out to me, you said, Nika, it's very likely that this crime was not committed with knives, but probably machetes. And machetes are pretty close to axes, are they not? And imagine loud music, pharmaceuticals, axe throwing, knife throwing, who knows what else was there, right? And when you're young, you're not thinking that something could go wrong. That is not a safe combination. And on top of that, if Maddie and Kaylee maybe could have been present, and on top of that, if they are turning a man down, maybe in a public setting, it's definitely risky business, right? And I have heard on Reddit, a lot of people have shared, and there was a couple, yeah, I think maybe it was JLR where I had heard that there was a rumor out there that maybe Maddie and Kaylee did attend this competition, right? But I think that if they were there, I hope that that comes out in trial, because it can definitely change the trajectory of this case, right? How are you guys doing in the chat? Let's see. Let me know, by the way, you're not going to hurt my feelings. If you think that this is too far-fetched, whatever I'm theorizing about, whatever I'm speculating about, I'm not going to judge you, babe. If you think it's too far-fetched, feel free to leave a 1. Please leave a 1 if you think it's too far-fetched. If you think that it's possible that these two girls were attending this Moscow axe throwing competition on the night of the crime prior to going to the bar, let me know. Because again, that could change the entirety of this case, right? Shane Turner, Georgia, are you the first one in here? Hello, Shane. Hi, Hoppers. We missed you. Hi, Billy Smith. Yo, yo, yo. Hope you're having a blessed day. Thank you, Billy. Hi, Nadine. Hello there. I missed you so much. We caught everything up. I hope you're doing well. We missed you, Nadine. I hope you're doing well. I miss you guys, but I'm used to seeing you on the daily, and then some like Hoppers disappeared for a couple days. I get a little worried. Like, where's my people at? And by the way, there are some new people. So if you are new, say hi in the chat. And also, if you're new, I've had a lot of newer people asking me if I'm aware of the shadows and of the orbs. Of course I'm aware, babe. Of course I'm aware. I've talked about it. I have always mention that I feel like those dark shadows, guys, they're only ever present when we're talking about the girls, right? When we're talking about this case, I believe that those shadows that some of you guys are seeing, some of them sometimes are cars, right? Yes, but some of them are not. And you can tell by the movement. It's my opinion that sometimes it's the victims and they're not at peace, right? They're not at peace. They will not be at peace until we get justice, until we get to the truth. And I know a lot of people don't believe it, in that stuff. It's fine. It's fine. But there's also orbs, though. You don't have to be scared of the shadows, right? It's part of our universe, good and bad. Shane says JLR got the food driver wrong. Oh, I don't know. I don't really watch him too much. I have watched a couple videos, and the ones I've watched I think are really, really good. So Shane says we should be axing these questions. Hello, Tony. No better combination than beer and axes. I don't know, man. And when I have been to these axe throwing competitions, they're technically supposed to be keeping track of how much alcohol everybody's getting. But do they really? Do they really? Not to the place I went to. Which just means like the risks all go up, right? B Geek says the grub truck has a group thinking at the beginning. Ooh, Tony, wonder if Eric Gower brought his Batshedi. Eric Gower, I need to make another video of him because it's... Is he being protected by the police department? Is he? And if anyone were to be protected by Moscow PD, it would probably be Eric because he has very close ties to them. We know his wife has worked there for a very long time. We have all seen the images, the yearly booklets, the annual reports in Moscow Police Department, and he loves to play Santa, right? Like for the holidays, he like volunteers to be Santa Claus for Moscow Police Department. And I've said this before, and it really triggered a lot of people. But when I talk about some really creepy, like serial unalivers, I'm talking like Ted Bundy-esque, they tend to be quite charming, and they tend to really blend in very well with society. Okay, they're not some autistic incel or whatever you think they are. It's not some pale guy with dark hair who, is like a Tim Burton character and is socially awkward. Okay, most of the time, these guys are conventionally attractive. They're very charming. They know how to socialize. They definitely know how to smooth talk, right? These smooth talkers, they definitely like to do a lot of volunteer work to hide in plain sight, basically. So a lot of people have defended Eric. I'm not saying he's involved. I'm not saying he's not involved. We're just talking about him because his name is on the PCA. And because I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but I will try to post all the Eric Gower videos that I made very early on. A lot of you guys told me I was crazy, and his Pinterest, in my opinion, his Facebook, in my opinion, they were effing creepy. Okay? And don't get me started about the volunteer work, driving around young college girls for free when you have a pregnant wife at home. It just, does it really make sense? I don't know. I don't know. Nigel says, evening, Nika. What about the so-called pay-per-view fight as well? Harsh is like you, Nika speaks the truth, facts, or was it pay-per-view accident? Oh, I'll have to watch Harsh. I think I've seen a couple of videos. He is from London, I believe. Shout out to Harsh. I don't care. If somebody's talking about the IDAHO4, I'm going to give them a shout out. Not all of us, we're not always going to get all the facts right. Okay? The fact that anybody has the what's a PG word? Balls. to talk about the IDAHO4. Okay, this is not easy for a lot of us to do. We're literally up here doing this for free, right? You don't see us asking for donation. I mean, I will very gladly take the cash apps that you guys have sent me and some of the super chats for coffee. But it's not like we're up here, maybe some YouTubers are, I don't know. Not like we're up here asking for money. We're literally taking time out of our day and our already hectic lifestyles to talk about this shit, this very dangerous shit that involves a lot of corrupt people, right? You guys know that since I started, things were being pulled out from this channel. Okay, they were not even demonetized. They were just taken down for no reason by the platform. If you don't believe that this platform, or any other platform for that matter, controls the narrative, then you're out of your mind. This is not about conspiracy theories. This is how algorithms work, babe. It's literal data science. And we're doing this. Harsh, AR Hayes, Jules, Truth and Transparency, JLR, so many people. We're out here talking about this because we smell something wrong in this case. There is something wrong. We can tell from a mile away. It's called common sense, right? Which again, it's kind of lacking. Best of Me says, that's like having a gun range with a bar. Oh my God, exactly. It's the same thing. This is funny, since we're speaking of guns and knives. It's funny because you guys know I live literally downtown Chicago, and it's, we live downtown Chicago, right? And Illinois, there's like some waiting period before you purchase a gun, right? But I can actually go in today and purchase a bow and arrow. No, wait. Just no common sense, right? To me, if you're dealing with any sort of weapon, you should not be able to have any substances that alter how your brain functions, especially one that's slowing it down, right? Nigel, someone needs to let Hitler and his cronies know this. Axe was missing in inventory at the end of the night. Nika says, best of me, thank you. It's a very interesting theory. Thank you, Misinformation. They were target practice? I don't know. I hope not. I hope not. But again, you have a Moscow axe throwing competition with people from all over the country. Like, I don't know. Is the rumor that Maddie and Kaylee attended this competition, are they true? I don't know. How long has this been common knowledge, Nika, with the axe throwing? Since day one, bent as a bob, 5-0. Okay. Yes, Amanda. Thank you. Yes, I've always thought Jack D. Do you remember Steve jumping back from him on stage? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah, Tony. Olivia said Jack Liqueur was 1000% innocent. Yeah, but I'm gonna take everything I hear from the G family with a grain of salt. But that's just me. You do you. Gouges makes me think an axe. I agree, Doug. That's what the coroner said, right? Gouges. Gouges. Gouges? With the K-bar? Maybe, possibly. But again, I've shown you guys my K-bar up close. And let me tell you a little something. Those get dull very, very quickly. To, how to put it gently, to slash for people, to create these massive gouges, according to the coroner, that were on these 4 victims. With a K-bar is, I'm going to go out on a limb and say almost impossible, because this thing gets dull very rapidly. So, just so you know, babe, just so you know. Axes, on the other hand, I don't know. My husband has an axe. He loves to go knocking down trees and stuff, or firewood. Okay, he can use that bad boy for a while before it needs to be sharpened. Possible, impossible. Ethan, Xana, Madison, and Kaylee were full of life and love. Their murders were evil, cruel, and unjust, as most murders are. Taking innocent lives is never right. It destroys what is sacred in us all. Thank you so much. That is beautiful. Yes, that's why we're here. Toes says, I do find it odd there isn't more details about all their activities the day of the 12th. That's strange, right? Very strange. How come only JLR is talking about this? Was talking about this 2.5 years ago. Dapper Doug says, I mean, why are the cops asking for people's phone numbers at any time? That is not normal. When you see him scoping out the back of the house and pointing at the ladder as he walks by, are you talking about Rosie? Because he gives me the heebie-jeebies. He just creeps me out. And it seems like a lot of cops in Moscow are really creepy. Why are they taking pictures of people's IDs? But that's normal protocol. That's normal protocol. Is it though? Because it's a little sus to me. There's no reason you should be taking pictures of anything. You literally have everything in your vehicle. You can't just like write it down, do not know how to use a pencil and go to your vehicle. It's creepy. And again, there have been other cops, was it Gunderson? I can't remember the name anymore, that have gone in trouble for trying to do things with young college girls when they pulled them over. Hey, do this for me and I'll let you go. I'm just a regular cop. That's creepy. That's really creepy. Dan says, Coroner said gouging, hacking like tools used. Ooh. The Odin store axes and fight in Ren festivals. They sure do. But also an entire community basically gathering around Moscow axe throwing venue on the night of the crime, allegedly, to have this competition. All of the locals and out-of-towners were gathered around, allegedly. Alex says, I do agree BK's alibi is pathetically weak. Yes, and I also think that Jack DeCour's alibi is even more weak. I was sleeping. I can't prove it, but I was sleeping. All right, okay. All right, boo, I guess we'll believe you. Nigel says, I've seen it happen to a few channels who don't go with the narrative. Exactly. That's why it's so important for you guys to go, please, and make sure that you find me on Instagram. Not all of you have Instagram, but if you do, go find me there, because at any given moment, this could all be removed by the gods of the YouTubes, right? And it's happened to me before. I had a channel prior to this one that had close to 100,000 subscribers, guys. I did. And just like that, it vanished out of thin air. Okay? So I'm starting from scratch, basically. Why did it get taken down? I know you guys are going to want to know. Because I was talking, you guys know I'm a scientist. I was talking about the vid, 2019 vid thing that was going on in the world. I was spewing science, basically. They didn't like that, and removed, deleted, you're gone. And that's why it's really good for you to find me on Instagram, because if anything happens, I will let you know there. I will reach out to you, and guess what? We'll start from scratch all over again. This is literally my 4th or 5th channel already. Like, we're not going to give up, right? So Jessica says, Brian was in a forensic program. Did they ever use their own body fluid for that class? My daughter used her own fluids for lab tests in the MLT program. That is so scary. You have to be so careful to who you're choosing to give your blood fluids to, whether it's a test, like a test for some medical lab science program, it looks like, or even like 23andMe and Ancestry.com. We see what's going on with 23andMe. It's like going downhill, okay? You have to be careful, because you never know when that stuff can be used against you, right? So hello, Amanda. Hello, Robert. Hello, my pal Sal. Hello. Sorry if I missed any of you guys. I'm trying to not. Hello, Petty. Hello. AKW. I knew I liked you for some reason. Yes, never give your DNA, says my pal. Yeah, never give it. Dan says, Bubbly Waters and Watching the Watchers. Remember her? Both showed pictures of owners of an axe throwing club. Faces all scratched up. Oh my goodness. No, I have not watched that. I've just watched a few videos of like random YouTubers here and there, but I mean, that's amazing. That is really amazing. AKW, thank you so much for the $5. You're spoiling me. You're spoiling me. I'm going to get to buy coffee at work tomorrow. Woo-hoo. Thank you. You guys are really generous. Hello, Starring Angel. Welcome. Hello, hello. It's crazy what's going on. Either way, guys, let me know. What do you think about the events that took place that night in Moscow, November 12th, 2022? I just think it's a really freaking weird coincidence that here we have an axe and knife throwing competition at a Moscow axe throwing venue, right? Right on the night prior to the crime being committed. Is it just another coincidence? I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore. Either way, guys, thank you guys for joining me. Make sure to hit the like button and leave your DNA there for me, and make sure that you are subscribed, and make sure that you are most definitely clicking on getting notifications, because otherwise some of you have told me that you're not getting the notifications for the lives until like 6 hours later. Really weird. So yeah, stay tuned. See you guys soon. Take care, guys.